Hello. Okay, so hi, Lindsay. Thank you so much for being here with me. So today, Lindsay here is going to open the Akashic Records on hypnosis and get that higher Akashic perspective on hypnosis. And Lindsay and I met actually. Well, we connected on Instagram at some point during the course of the pandemic. And the way that I remember it beginning was actually like our real connection beginning was that you had posed a question in an Instagram post that really stuck in my mind. And the very next day, I was reading a book that was gifted to me by another friend that also works in the Akashic Records. And it literally answered your question. And so I messaged you and I recommended the book. It was called The Way of the Rose. Um, so it, yeah, so that's how I remember it beginning. And then we began collaborating. And then we found out that we were actually in the very same training in New York in like 2017 or whenever that was, for hours on a like over the course of a weekend, learning how to access the Akashic Records together. We're in the same room and we didn't even know it. So I think that's so cool. So Lindsay, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here, and I love working with you. It's so much fun. So my background, so I primarily work in the Akashic Records. I'm also a Reiki master, a medium, and an advocate for permaculture, and very recently an author. That's a new venture for me. I'm permaculture design certified and utilize my energy work practices, my mediumship, and channeling with the Akashic Records to connect with deeper insights about our individual existential challenges, as well as challenges faced for the well-being of the land we live on, our planet, right? So personally in my work, I provide private healing sessions and classes. I conduct land readings. So that's my passion in permaculture and sustainability, where I get to combine the permaculture principles with connection to spirit and the Akashic Records in order to communicate what is needed for the health of the environment. So I'm really big on sustainability and everything that that word really means, which is the sustainability of ourselves, our mental, emotional, spiritual wellness, as well as the planet's wellness. So connecting with higher guidance and other worlds in support of that is really what I'm most passionate about. And it blows my mind every day and inspires me. And so I'm really excited to be here, and I love all the cool things that we connect on and that we talk about. And I love how we met. I think that's so cool. And we have just like so many fun things in common. Like the more we talk, the more we're like, you do that too, you did that too. So it's really fun to be here. So thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. I know, and I love the way that I feel like people who work in the records get these funny little connecting of the dots throughout, like the synchronicities are just like never cease to amaze, but it's so awesome. Yeah, I'm so glad that you're here. So, yeah, would you explain a little bit about what the Akashic Records are for people who, or how you view them for people who don't really know?
Sure. Yeah. So there are two definitions or explanations of it that I really love to use, and everyone has their own wording around it, which is really beautiful. So I love the explanation of it being the electromagnetic imprint of everything that's ever happened in the universe. Right? It sounds really big and really massive and really cool, but basically what that means is that everything that's ever existed energetically has this imprint, right? And energy can't be destroyed. Breaking down to atoms can't be destroyed is what I meant. Atoms can't be destroyed. They transform, they transmute. And so that energy, that energetic imprint has information that we can connect with, that we can channel, that we can draw from. So there's the universal information field. Say that's the Akashic realm, is the universal information field. And that's where we connect with higher guidance and wisdom. And another explanation that I really love when we're talking about our individual beings, human beings, our individual selves, the Akashic Records are the past, all of your past lives, the soul's journey, right? So all of your past lives, everything going on in your current present life, and then all future possibilities. So all of the imprints of who you have been, who you are, and who you will be, can be. So yeah, those are my favorite explanations, and so much cool stuff comes through. Like it's all these just ultimate truths, right? And what I love so much about it is that, you know, there's differences of channeling, right? So this isn't psychic channeling. This isn't coming from me. This isn't coming from Des. This isn't coming from our ego or our experiences. This is coming from, it's spiritual channeling, not psychic channeling. And so I love that because it puts me completely aside. And so we're just delivering the information that's coming through to us. And it doesn't necessarily mean anything to us. It means something to those who are being read, right? So we're sharing the information, and it reaches us on the soul level. It reaches us on the soul's perspective. So you will feel that very deep understanding. And if I really oversimplify it, I'm going to say that the Akashic Records, the way that the information comes through is like a picture is worth 1,000 words. So, you know, as Des and I connect with the records, we'll be visualizing something or emotionally or physically experiencing something. And by sharing that information, you are getting the understanding that you need about whatever topic we're discussing or asking questions about. So a picture is worth 1,000 words. And we know how powerful all of that is in our conscious and subconscious mind. So very cool stuff.
Yeah. So like that, it's so resonant, and it definitely is so different from a psychic reading, as someone who spent their life going to psychics. And then, I mean, not all the time, but regularly throughout my life. The first time I got an Akashic reading, it was so different, and it was so affirming and resonant, and you can feel it. It definitely feels like it's not coming from outside of you. It feels, you know, it just feels correct. You know, it just feels like that's what you needed to hear, because I believe that some part of you already knows that information. And that's why it's like an affirmation of the things that we are disconnected to, because I feel like we all have access. I mean, we do all have access to the Akashic Records. And the way I kind of see it, once I started doing hypnosis and I would kind of weave it into hypnosis, I would see that, well, clients are getting information from there. And actually, so instead of me delivering them the information in sessions, I just kind of would like open it for them, and they would get more from the session, and just to have this understanding that they do access this. And I think that we access it in dreams. I know that that's where I go in dreams a lot. It's like a very familiar place. And I think it's kind of like the quantum field, but when we're accessing it, like through the Akashic Records, it's this pure, like kind of loving for the highest good, like way of receiving that information.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I kind of see it. But
Totally. And I remember having a client who was really struggling to understand the records, and then the records came through to give like another explanation of like what the perspective is. And so this might also be helpful, is like, if you're looking at an aerial view of a mountain, and half of the mountain is in the sun, is in the light, and then the other half of the mountain is in the shadow, is in the dark. The Akashic Records perspective is the apex at the top, where our light and our shadow meet. So our light and our darkness, and there's no judgment in the Akashic Records, right? So it's this fully balanced, like holistic viewpoint of you as your soul, like in perfect harmony. So no good or bad, no judgment, no right or wrong. It's just this kind of ultimate truth where our light and our dark is balanced. That's so cool.
yeah, that totally feels right. I love that visual. And yeah. Awesome. So today we're going to open the records on hypnosis, and I have some questions about hypnosis for you to get from the records.
I'm so excited. Yeah, so that's the other thing I forgot to mention. So you could open the records on anything. I mean, like if it's a person, you need permission. If it's like land, it's either public lands or you need the property owner's permission. You can open records on your own business if you created it, right? You can open the records on different topics. You can open the records on planet Earth, extraterrestrial life, literally anything, which makes it so cool. So I am always excited when we get to open it on, you know, fun topics. So opening the records on hypnosis sounds so cool to me. I can't wait to do this. And I've never done it. So you're experiencing a live Akashic Records reading on hypnosis, and Des has questions that she'll be asking me, and I'll be channeling the information from the records while we do it. So yeah.
I'm so excited. And this is all like for the collective, like what, you know, what can we as like humans on this planet know about hypnosis and how we can kind of use it and benefit from it. So awesome. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited.
All right,
so the other part of it is lots of people open the records in different ways. Des and I both learned to open the records saying an opening prayer. So we say Linda House Pathway Prayer Process. I think maybe you do, maybe you, well, you just connect, right? You don't necessarily have that. Everyone opens it differently.
Yeah, I still use that, and I've been tinkering and making my own too. So I have a few that I'm using now.
Awesome. Yeah. So I still use Linda House Pathway Prayer Process. I love it. And so some of the opening prayer I'll say out loud. So when I'm opening the records, I'm saying these words. And once I say the records are now open, then Des can start asking me questions. And then when we're done with the reading, I'm going to say a closing prayer. So you will hear some of the opening prayer. Some of it I say out loud and some of it I say to myself. So if you hear, you know, if I'm being quiet, I'm saying the internal portion of the prayer. So that's how today we're going to open the records together. So shall we begin?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. O Holy Spirit of God. Help me to know hypnosis in the light of the Akashic Records, to see hypnosis through the eyes of the Lords of the Records, and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of hypnosis have for it. The records are now open. Okay, so I also, like, as I was opening them, I was getting an opening visual, which I can share. And then I always think it's fun to start with a foundational question so we can ask the records, what is hypnosis, and get their perspective on it. But I want to share that the opening visual was almost as if I was looking at the bottom of like a well. Like I was at the base of a well, a really, really deep, deep well. And there was like a person or a figure at the bottom of the well. And it felt like, you know, subconscious mind, right? There's like this special something that's at the bottom of this well. And it's in color and all this stuff. So there's all this like this darkness in this well. There's like the light, the opening. Like I'm in the bottom of the well, basically. And I'm looking up and I'm looking out, but what we're looking at is at this base. So we'll see how that visual might circle back around, because they always have a clever way of doing that in readings. But let's start with the foundational question and then we'll jump into the others.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is hypnosis? They're saying mind set, and they're underlining the word set. They're saying foundations of the mind set. And then they're kind of like settings, like in a computer. And they're showing this drop down menu, settings, preferences, and there's more drop downs and more drop downs. So that's how they are communicating it to us as of right now. They are showing that like very stereotypical, like windy, black and white, swirly, and then the eye. And they're saying like visual representations, mind visualizations, mind settings, visual settings, eye settings, mind settings. And then they're also saying feel experience. And they're saying two separate words, mind, and then they're like controls, controlling, mindset, mind settings.
Yeah.
So that's how they're starting.
I love that. Well, that's like the control, and we've done this. So we've actually, done sessions together, and I've used that. The controls, the idea of controls is such an apt way of thinking of hypnosis. We're intentionally like setting and resetting how we perceive and experience life. And there is real scientific basis to this. I was actually just listening to a podcast, Andrew Huberman's podcast, where he was talking about with a woman named Alia Crum, and she's at Harvard, I believe, and she's done all these cool experiments in belief effects, which are kind of like placebo effects, but without the placebo. It's like our beliefs actually shape our reality on like a biological level. And so it's fascinating. And so I think the controls are the perfect visual metaphor. So I love that. And we use that a lot in hypnosis, and it's extremely effective because we are that is us. That's our mind.
That's so fun. So as you're speaking, they're showing me like computers, and they're showing computerized, and they're showing like all the code, and it's playing around because it's kind of like all this code like flashing and they're like mind computers, computerized. And each one of those codes is like a different story, and they're all just running in the background. Yeah. And it's kind of looks like that Matrix thing, the codes and everything.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. I love that. Okay.
Cool. Nice intro.
Yeah, great intro. So my first question is, what can we know about the origins of what we now call hypnosis?
They're giving me the word aim and form, and brain functioning. They're actually showing me like caveman, which this means something to you because you're smiling, or no? I'm just
yeah, I love it. I mean, it's like I feel like that's what I imagine. So go on.
I love that. Okay, cool. I'm just like, what? Okay. So they're showing me literally like cavemen, like super basic human being, and it's almost as if like so they're saying like caveman, like experiencing the environment, building a foundation, building formation. They're saying brain cells, brain function, repeated patterns, survival. They're saying survival instincts. So they're showing like a caveman looking around and seeing the sky, it's blue, the trees. I'm getting the sense of like noticing repeat patterns of, for survival, but like they're kind of saying it's automatic. It like automatically happens in order to like grow our brains, like for us to eat, it's a natural evolution of a human being to have these, they're kind of like repeat patterns for survival. They're like countdown, count on for survival. So there's something about it that became that they're just showing like this super caveman existence of us.
Yeah. Okay. That's so cool. I love it because it is that ancient and that natural of like a state. And I think as we're just like as babies, like we're just when you don't have a lot to kind of, you don't have all the programming in there, you're just like kind of in a state of like hypnosis, or like in a somewhat of a, you're very malleable. And so that's kind of like the caveman idea too, I think. And I just think that's so cool, kind of laying the foundations. And it is it's such a natural state for us. Like it's that natural that it was like the foundational part of our, like, evolution really. And it's still with us, and that we're always doing that. So anyway, yeah. Okay, cool. That's great.
So cool. So as you're speaking, they're also showing a caveman laying on the ground, looking at the sky and being, watching the clouds move. And that being a little hypnotic and relaxing and calming. So they're really, yeah, they're showing that. That's so cool.
Amazing. Okay, my next question is, how is hypnosis beneficial to us as humanity, as a collective?
Imperative. They're saying intentional, imperative. Intentional, imperative, important, exclamation point, very important. Escape. A break, break down, break through. I'm getting like no accident. Interpretation, better interpretation. They're also saying magic. And they're showing like this little magic sparkly wand. And they're kind of like, what a dream come true. What dreams? It's like someone waves a magic wand and it's like perspective, change perspective. And they're saying mental disorders, mental order, mental clear, mental clarity, mental breaks, mind breaks. And they're also showing that thing at the beginning with the settings, computer settings, mind settings, returning to the settings. And they're showing the operating system, and they're like, you need to restart your computer. Like they're showing all these ways that we need to go in. They're saying troubleshooting the mindset.
I love that. Yes, it is an imperative. I love that word, because it is. And actually, like, there's so much talk now of how just taking these little micro breaks, which is kind of the inspiration of my like weekly micro dose of hypnosis, having these short intentional breaks for your mind, and even just short periods of relaxation throughout your day. Actually, that's like going to enhance your learning and retention of memory and formation of memory. And so that's yeah, it is imperative, and we don't often, I say I don't know what people are doing anymore with the pandemic, but like before the pandemic, I feel like there wasn't a lot of emphasis on that in the world that I was in. And so now I have personally a lot of time on my hands. So I'm mostly in hypnosis, I feel, but yeah, it's just interesting. It is imperative though, because that is how learning, especially as we get older, how neural plasticity, our brain's ability to change in response to external experiences, and for our nervous system, it happens in those moments of rest and during sleep. So sleep is very important, as is these periods of rest when we can take them intentionally. So very cool.
So they're showing me a really strong visual as you're speaking, and they're showing they're talking about a joyful life, and they're showing someone kind of like sitting on their couch, like staring at their TV, and they're showing hypnosis as like this little snake that comes and like almost tickles their ear with their tongue, like, but the funny thing is the person turns its head at the snake and smiles and laughs instead of just kind of being like zombied out staring at the TV. So, in snakes, they're saying like healing, like snakes represent healing, but it's this little kind of like, come here. And then you look away, your eyes turn from the screen and you see this, this real thing with you, this like snake. I don't know why they're showing a snake. I mean, they're saying healing, health. They're saying mental health. Oh, and the snakes, isn't medicine, those two snakes wrapped?
Yeah.
So they're saying real medicine,
Yeah.
Real.
And those snakes, as far as I know, I think that originated in Egypt, but then also in ancient Greece, where they were the sleep temples, where they were doing dream programming, like dream incubation. That was like, there were like actual sleep doctors. That was like the medicine. You would ponder your problem, go to sleep, and then interpret your dreams and have someone help you interpret your dreams the following day and receive answers. And the snakes are where that originated from. That was the symbol for those dream temples, as far as I have learned. So I think that's so cool. And I love the idea of, like, if anyone can take that away as a post-hypnotic suggestion going forward into your life, when you're watching TV, just turn your head and imagine there's a snake there, a friendly snake. Because when we do engage in entertainment with intention, that's all the difference than when we're mindlessly consuming it. And I use TV. I have, during the course of the pandemic, as self-hypnosis, I started watching the Hallmark Channel, which I always really couldn't stand those movies, but I needed that dose of ridiculous positivity and happy endings, and it helped, So I don't know, anything we can do to just not be have it just piling into us, because that, it is naturally hypnotic. All stories, movies, those are trances that we get into, even when we're reading books. So I think it is important to be engaging with them with intention, and have that little snake in your ear as a reminder.
Yeah. And they're agreeing with you in when you mentioned Egypt or Greece and the sleep, right? I'm just going back to, I remember what you said, and they brought this visual up to me, and they were saying they knew then that mind health was also body health.
Yeah.
And there's vice versa, but they were kind of like, they're like, start over in the mind. And then everything else can kind of come back online.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. Okay. So next question, pardon Molly. Oh, baby. How can we easily access or enter into hypnotic states?
Deep listening. They're saying sleep dream. They're saying staring. They're showing someone like staring and whistling. That's kind of interesting. Like someone's just kind of staring off and whistling. They're saying gazing, listening. And they're kind of saying like the easiest, like if you're not doing it for yourself on your own, they're saying the easiest is having an external, like the external guidance. Because it's like, I'm just getting the sense of like, for you to like relax and go into like a deep listening state is just like a slightly more effort than as if it's coming from external into your ear and you're listening. They're kind of, they're saying the difference is like active and passive, but they're saying deep listening, gazing, staring. And they're saying using visuals, repeat patterns. And they're saying like beauty visions.
Ooh, I love that.
And they're saying trance. They're like trance, transit, transmit, transformation, They're even, movement, repeat patterns, movement can they're saying lock in a hypnotic state.
Yeah, I love that. All right, cool. The visual, from what I've been learning too, like as far as the neuroscience is concerned, is so cool. Like that, just like, because as a standard, like one of the early hypnotic inductions I learned was like an eye fixation, you know, and just like fixing your gaze on something. And for me, that's my best trance state. I go right in when I just lock my eyes on something. And that doing that for 30 to 60 seconds before engaging in any goal-oriented behavior, this is like based on current neuroscience, very current, it actually makes you much more likely to carry out the goals and do the things that you need to do to attain those goals. So I think it's so cool that like something that we've been using as a hypnotic induction for so long actually makes you more likely to engage in things that are going to help you carry out your goals. So it works on a few levels, but it just feels good to stare sometimes. And that's one of the things that I use to explain people who aren't familiar with hypnosis, that they're going into hypnosis, you know, many times throughout a single day and kind of passing, you know, hypnosis is just a shift of awareness, really, and we're in and out of them all. And you know, as soon as we wake up in the morning, we pass through a trance state or a hypnotic state, and then we're in and out all day, and then we'll pass through again in the evening. But anytime you've ever found yourself kind of just like staring at nothing, and you could just be like, you have your eyes locked at nothing really, and your focus isn't even on whatever you're staring at. And I mean, this used to happen to me at work a lot, and someone would be talking to me and I'm like, oh, I know I have to pull my eyes away and respond to them, but I don't want to. Like that, it feels good, but like that's a great trance state. So, you know, you can induce that. One of my teachers always says anything that assumes trance causes trance. So just knowing that that is a trance, then you just fix your eyes on something and then you're in trance. It's very easy. So
So cool. And it's so interesting that you say that. Because they're saying like daydreaming, but they kept repeating boredom. And they said boredom is rare these days. Like boredom and stillness is where they're saying where you go to new places, where you escape daydreams. And then they're showing the magic wand, what dreams come true, what dreams may come. Daydreaming, you know, kind of repeating that. But they're like, boredom is rare. But they're also saying boredom is powerful, like boredom is a gift because that happens.
yeah.
You know, like I'm so bored, I'm staring at the wall. It's like, that's where cool stuff happens.
Yeah.
They're saying creative flow, the creative mind, and all this cool stuff can come into you when they're saying the word zonked in boredom.
I love that. I totally feel that, like that a little bit of idleness, you know, is just because otherwise we're just consuming more information, everyone with their devices. I mean, I've fallen prey to it as well, but it's really, it's a lot. We're constantly inundated with information that we don't really end up having our own authentic thoughts. What are ours, you know? So just being a little bit bored. I think wistfully about how did I pass time when I was a kid? Like, what was I doing? I was listening to music and staring at a wall sometimes, and it was awesome. And I try to bring that back into my life now, and it's kind of nice to rediscover it. Cool. Okay, next question. How can we use hypnosis and related modalities for collective healing during this time, these intense times?
They said make art. They said make lots of art. Express the hypnosis through art. They're like song, writing, poetry, painting, animation, acting. They're emphasizing, they're just saying make art. They're saying it's easier, it's the easiest way. They're saying pleasure, pleasant. They're saying the more places you can see of pleasure, of pleasantry, pleasantness. Yeah, they're saying make art visuals, make art sounds. So it's just, they're saying like reset mindset for pleasure, for pleasantness.
I love that.
They're saying for beauty, because what they're saying is they're saying if we can infiltrate the mind with beauty, we're resetting the mind with all this beauty and creativity. And then we start seeing it in the world in places that might not have seemed beautiful before. So suddenly our perspective is like, oh, this, you know, I don't know, they're kind of showing me like a landfill, which is kind of crazy. And they're like, can you see this landfill as like this monstrous thing of terrifying beauty? Can you see the beauty in this thing? And then also it's like, you know, zoom out of it and zoom into it. And like, they're like, what are the little treasures you can find in this trash thing of landfill? I don't know why that's the visual they're showing, but that's what they're showing me. But they're kind of like, if you can see, they're saying the ferocity and you can find the beautiful visuals or make it into something beautiful. They're kind of saying they're saying creative flow, but they're also saying it inspires action.
Mm.
So it's like if your mind sees something as beautiful or wants to see more beauty, then you will create more beauty in your external environment. Not only will you see it, but you will start to create it. It's like you're going to find the little pieces of beauty. And if it's really, really not there, you're going to create it because it's in your mind. You have all this beauty in your mind and you're like, that could be more beautiful. I'm going to make it more beautiful. That could be more special. I can make it more special. And so they're kind of like the creative mind, but they're kind of like, if you can like infiltrate the mind, they're really saying they like the word beauty and beautiful.
I love that. Yeah. And art, like for me as a creative person, and I know you are too, like that was one of the first things that I made the connection with when I started studying hypnosis and started having a better understanding of it. I was like, this is like the place that I go to. I'm in hypnosis when I'm making jewelry, or like I used to be a tailor, and I used to work, I was a costume designer. So sometimes I was hand sewing sequins on something for Broadway for like hours, for days on end. And it's like, I'm just in a flow state. And then you just kind of come out of it and you're like, oh, wow, look how much I did. Like I wasn't even there, but I was. And that was one of the early, you know, as being someone who has so many interests, and it was always so annoying in my life that I was like, I like this, I like this, I have all these hobbies. And for me, hypnosis was always that umbrella that like is just like, that's me being in a flow state, and making art and just being creative is like the best trance. Even if nothing awesome comes out of it, it feels good. It just feels nice and it's productive, and you have a souvenir of your time there. And so I just think that's a great gift, and that's great advice, because like art is so healing, and being creative is so healing in and of itself, and it does change the perceptions. And that is like a worthy endeavor of any human. You know, art used to be part of, like, you know, back in the day, we all had to learn, you know, humans would learn music and would learn art, and like, you know, learn languages, and just like to act, you know, have different areas of their mind. And now it's almost feels like we all have to kind of pick one, or, you know, but it's nice to be able to learn a little bit of you know, different things, and be able to just engage in them as hobbies. That's the thing, is like, I guess with the less time, less idle time, less boredom, there is less time for engaging in things just for learning and for pleasure, and but it is important to activate these other areas of our brain, because we are getting really stuck in patterns when we don't take on new things. You know, as we get older, our brain does stop, you know, changing just automatically. We get stuck in ruts, and we have to purposefully change it in order for it to change. We have to change to experience change. And so I think that art or creative endeavors, you know, even for people who think that they're not creative and they're not artistic, I think it's really important and therapeutic and fun.
Totally. And totally. And as you were speaking, they were just like, when you said there are all these things you're into, and they said, do it all. They're like, do it all, you know, and they were emphasizing how like we have these multiple lifetimes, right? So the part of you that, you know, but what they're showing is like those special moments of when you're creating something, you're saying, I was here and this came through me, and I created this in my body with my hands and my love and my passion and my vision. And so all of those things that we make and that we create, it's proof of life is what they're saying. It's proof of who you are, and literally saying, I exist. I
Oh,
exist here. I'm here.
I love that. And it goes back to, so when you mentioned the landfill, I was like, I was trying to see the beauty in that. And it was, to me, it was like, I was like, it's just people's garbage. It's like if I could see all my landfill, all of the stuff that I've thrown out, which I've done that in hypnosis before, where I see the things that I've thrown away throughout the course of my life, just as a personal activity. I like to explore these things, and it's depressing and changes the way you are going forward. But it is these souvenirs of life, and maybe seeing something like that can actually make you want to create some more beautiful souvenirs of your life, rather
Yeah.
than a trail of trash that
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
behind you.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That one's really going to stick in my mind.
Mhm. Keep
Okay.
creating things.
Yeah.
Everyone, no matter what, keep expressing yourself, keep creating things, tangible things, music, whatever. You never know how long it's going to exist and how it's going to teach or affect
Yeah.
or move somebody or inspire somebody. And yeah, like they're almost kind of showing me like these little time capsules, and like someone finding these little treasures. And that's what they're kind of showing with this landfill, is like there's a lot of trash and a lot of disaster in that. And then there's also this proof of life.
Mhm.
It's not always good, it's disastrous, but there's proof of this.
The other thing I thought of with the landfill was, have you ever been to Dead Horse Bay in New York? It's like, it's in Jamaica Bay or something. It's on the south. It's not far from Coney Island where I used to live, or Brighton Beach, but it's this bay. It used to be a landfill, and in the 20s, I think and maybe they closed it in the 40s or something like that, and the 1940s, 1920s, I should say, because it's like 2020. um uh and it has all these like old relics of like glass and really cool stuff. And my best friend she lived in DC at the time, but she would always come up and collect all, like, there's all these glass marbles. I have tons of stuff from there, and she would make stuff out of them, I think, and collect all that. It became a destination. It was very little known place, but somehow it became a destination that people would travel from far and wide to get this old glass, all these old glass bottles, perfume bottles, and prescription bottles and stuff. I found an old wallet in there once with pictures. It is fascinating. So that's like the other aspect of the landfill. It's like, it is souvenir of life, and people make art from that glass and stuff too. So
That's cool.
just kind of
Oh,
tied in.
I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah. It is kind of gross though at the same time. So because there's probably like so much poison that was in there that the air
Yeah.
there smells like lead paint or something.
Super
Wrong.
toxic.
Yeah, yeah. Um, okay, next question. Um, what can we do to grow the hypnosis community and expand the field of hypnosis?
They're saying keep talking. They're like talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. Um,
I can do
and
that.
there's this fun thing of kind of like, they're kind of like, trick is like, you are hypnotists. So I'm getting the sense of like, whether or not you present and tell people, your words count, right? So they're saying you're conscious with your words no matter what. You choose your words carefully, beneficially, mindfully. And so they're saying like, no matter what, keep talking. And there's almost this kind of like, they're saying mainstream. They're kind of like, infiltrate the mainstream with your words, and don't always say, this is a hypnosis. Because I'm almost getting like hypnotist hypnosis. And they're like, if you're like publicly speaking and you say, we're doing a hypnosis or a hypnotist, it's like people suddenly like, you're going to control me. Like they're having that feeling.
Mhm.
And they're just like, it's just like past fear based, put on this on the word, but they're like, it's not true. It's just the power of it, right? But what they're saying is just keep talking and use your knowledge and your experience in everything that you do. So I'm seeing like multiple people in multiple professions, and it's like sales pitch using their hypnosis experience. So they're kind of saying you're on the back end. Like you could outwardly say that's what you do, but they're saying fun trick, do it on the back end and don't tell people that's what you're doing. But they're like for the greatest good, right? Your intention is for the beneficiality, for the health, the mental health. They're like serenity, calm, peace, choosing your words wisely, conscious of the power of words being vibrations. So, and they're like spells, right? So they're just saying, keep talking. Talk a lot. They're like, talk everywhere, talk as much as you want, as much as you can. They're like, be a talker, be someone who talks a lot. And they're like, go into, if you know that there's like something that's like high stakes that really needs some level of consciousness, awareness, or healing, go into it a little scripted. And they're kind of like, just take your they're calling them keep words. Have your like keep words, your keywords in your back pocket, and they're kind of like use them all over the place. Throw them around in everything that you do. And they're kind of like magic fairy dust. It's like your words, they're like a word over here and a word over here and a word over here. And you kind of, they're like, you put a spell, you hypnotize, you inspire, you create this creative flow around the people around you. So it's just this sense of just keep talking.
Yeah. I like the idea of having those little keep words, having these like little words or talking points that you can kind of sprinkle into things. I think I do that. And I think that's really cool and affirming message.
They're also they're saying the written word in print.
Mm.
So it's interesting. They're saying to write books and have your hypnoses written in print, because they're like, some people take it in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And some people take it in through the vibrations of the words listening. Yeah. And some people take it in visually. So they're like, the written word, keep talking and writing your words down. They're saying publishing books, written, publishing books.
Wow, cool. I love that.
They're saying poetry.
Mm. Awesome. Okay. What potentials does the future hold for hypnosis?
Unlimited, like a mind. Unlimited, like the mind. They're showing like the brain, and like they're saying neuroscience, like the skull, like the cap being taken off, and it's like the brain, and there's all this stuff kind of like coming from the brain, like all this information, doop, 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 doop. That's what they're showing. And they're saying unlimited, like the mind is unlimited. Having this like cap on the mind, they're saying is absurd. They're saying our minds are unlimited because our consciousness is unlimited, because our existence is unlimited. And they're kind of like, we've put this cap, and we've capped ourselves. They're saying restriction. We've restricted ourselves from realizing our potential, the human potential. And they're saying we are unlimited beings. We are unlimited. Our consciousness is unlimited. So they're saying, so the possibilities are endless. And they're kind of like, this is this cap coming off to like reveal our unlimited brain, our unlimited mind, our unlimited consciousness. They're calling it like wave great awakening, like awakening, or awakening to the unlimited potential of human potential, of the human mind, human beings, potential beings. Yeah.
I love that.
Did that answer it?
Yeah, yeah, no, that's how, yeah, it's vast, it's limitless. That's how I feel. I love the idea of that we put a cap on our potential. And I love that. Take off the cap.
Yeah. They're just like, whoo, like it just goes so far.
Yeah.
It's interesting because they're kind of showing the mind goes like up and out to like all this stuff that like is everywhere. And then they're like, the subconscious mind is deep, 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 like so, so deep. But there's something about it being deep and narrow. But it keeps going, right? There's something about it being a narrow, oh, like they're going back to that well. And like this, it's also a never ending well, right? But they're kind of saying there is an end, it's the beginning of you. So they're like, that well is really deep and goes really far. They're saying many, many lives, past lifetimes, very, very many, many. So that's all your subconscious mind is, but it's also, they're saying just you. Like the depths of your subconscious mind is like nearly endless feeling because we've all been around for a long time, but they're saying that it goes really, really far, but they're also saying that's your lane. That's and they're kind of like, wow, like that your subconscious mind can hold so like infinite information as well, or seemingly, but they're also like, that's almost like your well, your deep well of subconscious information is filled with so much knowledge and wisdom. And then they're kind of going, and then your mind, oh, so it's kind of like past. So it's like your subconscious mind is you and you're like almost infinite past, seemingly infinite past, thousands of years, whatever. But then they're going, and then the mind has access to like everything, not just you, not just your world, not just your conscious or subconscious mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. It's like that super conscious or whatever, like the sub and the super. That's what I'm thinking of. I love the idea of the well. I don't know. Yeah, that's cool. I'm going to go there in hypnosis because I have a really cool well happening in my mind right now. And what's happening above it is really cool too. And it's kind of like, it's a reciprocal, I don't know how to explain it, but I'm excited to explore my well.
Yeah, really cool. They're just like showing like basically like we're all these like really, really long tubes of information and experience and our information, like who we are and what we've experienced. And then you pop it open and it's everything else too.
Yeah. Wow. This was really incredible.
Awesome.
So much for doing this. This was really, really.
Thank you. Maybe I'll just see if there's any like closing message or what's the most important thing we need to know about hypnosis. Okay. What is the most important message that we need to know about hypnosis? They're saying yearning for it. So we are actually subconsciously yearning for it. And I'm getting like, take me away, take me away, take me away. Like everyone's got this little voice in their head. It's like, take me there, take me to my dreams, take me, take me, take me, escape, escape, right? Or what's next, or what's new. And so they're saying that there's a deepest yearning for this. They're saying access to the unlimited mind.
Yeah. Very cool. I love that. Take me away, because that's how I see hypnosis is like, it's kind of coming back to the present, which is taking you away from all the external, what realities, however limiting they may be or stressful or whatever. And that we can use something as simple as our memories somewhere down in that well there, like reaccessing and going into a memory for 5 minutes. Like to me, that's hypnosis, a good memory, you want to re-experience. Like I do that all the time. like all the time. It's part of my everyday, all day. Like I have all these little rituals that include, like I'll spray a perfume when I want to feel hopeful. That reminds me of when I was in Italy. And, it was just like which is another weird thing that we share, that we both lived in the same place at the same time in Italy, of all places. Weird. Akashic Records always have a sense of humor, is like how they can connect the dots. And, but like that's like, accessing our good memories, and just take me away, like take me there. Making dinner, like for me, Italy was such a good time for me. Like I'll make bruschetta, and that used to be my dinner on a regular basis when I lived in Italy. And so like I'll do that here, and then I'm mentally kind of traveling back to that time in my mind. And that's a form of self-hypnosis. That is take me away. Comfort food is take me away. If you loved your grandma's mac and cheese or something, that is take me away. That's a little bit of hypnosis. So I love that advice. I love that we are yearning for it, and we're doing it all the time anyway without realizing it. And so that's when some of these things, like these automatic behaviors, come into play that maybe we don't want to do anymore, but we do because they're taking us away. So when we go away, we take ourselves away with intention. I think that is just us exerting our own autonomy over our life experience and saying like, okay, I'm feeling like I'm lacking something right now. This is what I'll do, so I don't engage in any kind of like, addictive behavior. And I'm just purposely choosing to eat ice cream with pineapples on it because it reminds me of my neighbor across the street, but people go into, obviously have really unhelpful habits where they'll do that every single night. But I think by recognizing what you are feeling and what you are yearning for, that's one of the most important things that we'll do as a hypnotist, is find out what the person really needs when they're engaging in some unhelpful behavior. And then how can we satisfy that with, another thing or a feeling or a good memory. And just sometimes it's just like, for me, it's just remembering a good feeling. But anyway,
I love that so much. No, and as you're speaking, like I'm thinking about it, and like these days, I really lean into your work to pull me out of, loops and stories and places that don't feel so great. So like I will go through my library of all my saved microdoses of yours, and all the different work. Like I really have been leaning into your practice, your work, to support me through these times, because there's this opportunity to be relaxed and receptive and have these really deep shifts take place for you. Yeah. And it's been so amazing for me. And it's interesting because as you're speaking and as I'm saying that, they're showing the visual, and I'll close the records right after this so it stops, but they're showing the visual of someone falling through quicksand and this hand grabbing them, and they're saying that hand is hypnosis. So when you're drowning in the quicksand of all the stuff, that hypnosis is that hand reaching out to pull you out.
I love that. Oh, that's amazing. Oh my gosh. That gives me chills.
I love that. Okay, so I'll close the records. I would like to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their love and compassion. I would like to thank the Lords of the Akashic Records for their point of view. And I would like to thank the Holy Spirit of Light for all knowledge and healing. The records are now closed. Amen. The records are now closed. Amen. The records are now closed. Amen. Thank you. That's so beautiful.
It really was. And it warms my heart and like affirms my existence to know that you use those microdoses as a resource, because that is what I imagined them being for, is to just, that there could be this thing that in under 10 minutes takes somebody out of whatever it is and gives them a break from their reality and puts them into some receptive place, or gives them a tool that they can also keep in their back pocket. So it's just awesome to know that I appreciate.
Absolutely. They've been my lifelines,
I'm so glad. That was my vision. This was so incredible. This was really like, there was so much. So I'm excited to listen again, and I'm sure I'll have more things to talk about some of the points that you brought up that came from the.
Yeah, I'm excited like to process it and watch it again and listen again. Oh my goodness, so cool. Oh, thank you so much for having me. So much fun as always.
Always. I know I love working with you. And Lindsay and I do have every Monday, we have a Clubhouse room that we host where she shares Akashic Records wisdom for the week for that particular group. And it's free and it's on the Clubhouse app. And then I'll share a little hypnosis. That's actually where all my microdoses of hypnosis have their premiere live on Clubhouse. And then I send them out in email later and put them on YouTube. But it's the place to be. It's a really beautiful place.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so that's my happy place to kick off the week every Monday.
Yeah.
Our little Clubhouse room, and our group is amazing.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah. So it's called Environmentalism. And I will put the link in whatever it is below this. But yeah, this was great. Thank you so much. I'll stop recording.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. I'll just stop.